Yo, hello. Can you hear me okay? Cool. Just give it some time for some people to jump in. I said 6:30. I opened up a little bit earlier than planned, but we'll see how it goes. Oh, I am so sweaty. It is disgustingly hot here, and the UK is not made for weather like this. Talk with owner. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it was good. It was good fun. We're gonna do another one at some point. I'm gonna get him onto my channel and do something with him there as well. So I need to figure out what to do, but going to be some sort of chat or asking him some questions and then answer them myself as well. Figuring it out, but yeah, we're going to do something else at some point too. EB, hello, mate. Hello. Just giving it a bit more time for some people to join. It says we've got 9 people. If you're there, say hello. Say hi. We'll just give it literally 5 minutes and I'll start. We're going to go through basically what I talked about in the video that I put up this morning, and some stuff's happened on Solana I've seen, so we'll talk about that as well. But we'll run through Bitcoin, we'll run through Ethereum, and we'll run through Solana, and then anything else that you guys want me to talk about, we'll have a look for you. Hello, Xerox, like the printer. How are you guys? How's your week going? It's only Monday, but yeah, how's your week going? Waiting for crime candles in either direction. Yeah, it's a bit boring today on Bitcoin, but it is normally, if the end of the month is a Friday, it's normally you normally see some moves happening, not just on crypto but on other markets as well. But we have the end of the month on Monday. It is kind of looking like it wants to go up. We'll talk about it in a minute. Living and enjoying every day, can't complain. What about you? About the same at the moment. Life is good overall. I'm feeling more positive about life. Enjoying what I'm doing. Just need to get back to trading. Haven't done much trading. I miss it. But this week I'm supposed to be getting back to it. It's just today has been an absolute clusterfuck. This morning I got to the PC about 20 minutes late because my son wanted me to play with him. And then I filmed a video and I forgot to do this screen recording. So it put me like 25 minutes behind schedule. And then I was rushing out to film like the whole thing again. That was fun. And then it just put me behind schedule for the day, basically. So no trading today. I was in a frantic mindset. All right, a couple more minutes and then we'll jump in. It's mad. Back in the day, I used to have like 100 people jumping in by now. Okay. just have this and we'll jump in. Is the connection okay? I've got a stream warning saying that the bit rate is low. But it said that before and no one complained. So, okay, right, let's dive in. I'm not gonna redo the markup from, it looks fine. Cool, thank you, Neutral. So I'm not going to redo all this markup because you saw me do it last week and I've put it on the video this morning, but I will reiterate a few things. So we're on the daily time frame. First thing that's important to me is that I'm going to do this in yellow. Yeah. We're in a big uptrend. So the idea is to look for longs on a retrace or on a breakout. Personally, I think that where we are, it looks like we may get some kind of push to the upside. Hold on, did that wrong again. But I can't really see it just yet. If it is going to move, I think it's going to move like Solana, just kind of like out of the blue. But this price action is not really indicative of like a quick follow through. I still believe that it's likely to come back down, whether that's in the range or to somewhere lower. I'm not sure yet, but I still think it's going to come and put a higher low in first before moving up. I mean, if it's drawing that, it looks kind of like it makes sense. But this low here, what day was that? 22nd. That was the Sunday. Oh, so this is the day we did the last stream last Monday. So we had a big push to the upside, and it's kind of not really followed through as you would like to see it follow through. You'd kind of think with this momentum, it should push up to the upside. But considering the fact that we're range bound and we have a lot of small candles and a lot of wicks, and we're at the previous all-time high, it kind of makes sense that it's just kind of fucking around a little bit, which is why I'm tending to think it is going to come back down here at some point. I just kind of I think with pushes to the all-time high, it does it in these big, fast moves to the upside. And I just can't see it doing that and following this move without some sort of correction. I believe that this was a telling point here at this point in the stream, in the chart, because it should have broke down and then it ripped up to the upside. So whether this is a fake out or not, I'm not sure. But this is the top of that level. And I've said this before on the other stream and on video, that it would have found this as a trouble area, this entire level. I've marked the extreme of it at the low, but it bounced off the top of it and it's now threatening to make a new high, or within the context of like this swing. So we've had this downtrend, but we're still at a point where we're not sure if it's a lower high or it's a higher high before a continuation. So I would lean bullish for the fact that the most recent swing, we'll just jump onto H4 now. The most recent swing is all bullish, but to be honest, this isn't that great. You know, it's really, really low volume. So just marking this out here, the extreme of this low, and we have this daily range high. I'm just going to delete that so it's not in the way. But again, not much has happened since we last spoke, since we last did a stream. These levels have been taken out and price is just kind of meandering sideways. It's not doing a huge amount. In this instance, when this kind of happens, I would expect a drop to support. So this is the key support level for me, where if price comes down to test it, you want to see a reversal here. And that's the kind of reversal pattern I'll be looking for, a bit like a W, like that, where you've got a series of high highs and high lows. I'll be looking for that down here. And then looking to go long. At that point, I'll be happy to say that Bitcoin's probably going higher. But it also is a level where if price comes down to it and flips it, puts in a lower low, puts in a lower high, and then puts in another lower low, I would say we're going to come down at least to 98,000. But again, it just kind of remains to be seen. And what I said this morning on the stream is that it's better to sit on your hands, and realistically, just jumping down to H1, and I'm just going to mark again those levels. I need to get this sorted out. with them because the levels keep disappearing. So we have this high. This is the high of the swing before that 108K level. Basically, this high gets put in, drops down, and interacts with this support. And this is the last support before. Oh man, why did it do that? This is the last support. Push up, last support before where it should be moving up again. So essentially, you've got the drop, the base here, and then the rally up. You would expect if this trend's going to continue at this support level, it's going to bounce it, but it doesn't. It comes down, takes it out, puts this retrace high in, and then drops. On a retest of this high here, you would expect price to drop down and continue the trend, but it hasn't. But what it's done instead is just range. It hasn't continued up, it hasn't dropped down, it is just ranging, and the market's trying to figure out whether this is a fair price for Bitcoin at the moment and who wants to buy it. The thing is, when you get loads of news, really positive news, it tends to happen at highs, and the market's either priced in or people don't really want to get involved at these levels. So let's say you've got a big institution that is waiting to get into the Bitcoin market, but they've got to run through all these legal loopholes and they've got to set things up, and then they have to inform their clients, and they just, you know, have insurance and all this kind of stuff. That takes a long time. And then when the market is hearing about these types of companies that are looking to get into Bitcoin, the market rallies and it goes up to these kind of price levels, but the main players aren't in yet. But when the main players are available to get in, then the news gets released and says like, hey, like so-and-so has new ETF, or they have a product which is going to let their pension clients jump into Bitcoin, something like that. But once the market's made that move and they're able to then get in, they don't really want to be looking at a Bitcoin at 107K and going, right, okay, I want to get all of our clients in here, particularly after it's moved up like, you know, 5-6x in the past 2.5 years without, well, we've had some sort of correction. We had like last summer, which was just ranging and awful, but we haven't had like a major correction. So I do think one will come at some point. Before then you get all these major clients jumping in, major institutions and stuff who are not yet involved. But I just think personally they see this level and they're not that interested at the moment, hence why the market is so indecisive when there is so much good news coming out. So we have typical weekend price action, lots of small candles, and you know, if you look at the chart on the weekend, you should probably do yourself a favor and not bother. But what has happened in the context of this range, and it is a clean range, is we've got the high here, and then we have the low, the retrace low before the high gets retested. So that's how I define that range, and I've put a couple of videos on my channel about how to read this price action and define ranges. And then it comes down, tests the level so many times at support, it doesn't break down. And I was looking at this candle here. I don't know if you can see that too well. I'll zoom in. The other day, I think that was Friday, this candle here. So what happens, it pushes up, wicks, comes back down, tries to push up again, but wicks. And then we have this momentum candle to the downside, which takes out the support. That for me was a trigger, a signal, sorry, that the market wanted to go further south. And then obviously it did, but it came and bounced off the support, retraced, and then I saw a load of people on Twitter at this point being like, fuck you higher, blah, blah, blah. And then literally 15 minutes later, it all dropped. But then it started closing below the range, found some support again, and then puts in a lower high, wicks it, comes back down, tests the bottom of the range again, and just fucks around. And really, if you're short, if you're looking for shorts based on those triggers, you've got big momentum here, lots of wicks to the upside. The last thing you want to see is a failure to continue, a failure to break out. And the last thing you definitely want to see is, in the context of the range around the midpoint, you don't want to see price come up and then consolidate and then push up, particularly above the range high. Comes back down to the middle of the range again, finds support, but then after making a higher high, it bounces off of this resistance level and then gets really weak and then comes back down to the range low. And look, oh look, it bounces off of it perfectly again, puts in a momentum candle that closes above the previous two candles at the mid-range still, and it's now looking like building up. Personally, when I see this type of price action, I'm still not interested in getting involved because it's still so choppy and sideways. It may only just come up here again to this resistance or the range high and then drop back down. It's not really given enough information just yet that it wants to go in any particular direction. You want to see price action that is maybe a little bit more, and we haven't seen it for a while, but on this push up here, right, you can see there's like a clear defined trend. Even though the candles are small, it's moving quite nicely. It's quite a clean channel. If I just draw that, there is a channel like that, and it's upwards, and you know, it's respecting all of the trend, well, both the trend lines. Whereas if we go back to where we are now, I don't know why it does that. It's quite annoying. Like there's no real channel. You can see that if you've got the channel itself is, and I'll just mark it again, it's the range here, like that. There's your channel. So remember before where it's like this and you have price kind of doing that, you can be a bit more confident on the retraces to go long, to go long, to go long, to close out trades like that. But in this situation where price is going sideways, I'm not interested. If I'm trading GBP USD on M1 and I see this type of price action, I'm waiting for a level like this. I'm waiting for price to come down and then kind of sort itself out, get some volume, and then look for the next leg up, which is why I say to look for these kind of deeper retrace levels. Even though they don't come as often, they have a really high strike rate when they do, and they're kind of at the points where if it does get broken, you've got a different market, you've got a market structure break, and you've got a different trend. And at these levels, if your long doesn't work out, you can flip your bias and then get in on the move at those points. Whereas here, based on like this kind of information where you've got the candles telling you that the market wants to drop down, but it's just failing. At this junction here, again, you're gambling because you've had so many tests of the range low and you've had these tests of the range high. So I think considering the fact that we are in an uptrend, we're in a bull market, sort of, even if it is kind of the tail end of it, I still think longs are on the cards. But I think we may even just get some bullshit move to the upside and then come back down. And then Bitcoin loves to do that. And then, you know, that could be the price action we see. But based on what we're seeing right here, this is really dull. I don't know what you guys think, but it's really dull. It doesn't really show much. And I understand from a content point of view, it's really boring to say that, but one of the key ways to keep your P&L in an upward trajectory is to recognize the fact that even though you may be able to make sense of the market, even though you can read the story, the price action, your edge may not actually be there. And it may be any trade that you place is more weighted towards a gamble than a calculated risk. So I'm sorry if it is a little bit boring, but at the moment, like, this is what the chart is serving us up. And all I can say is, you know, it depends on your appetite for risk and your style of trading. But if it starts breaking down, you know, you could short it with a target there in mind. But personally, I don't think the risk reward is there. And you've got the risk of this happening again, where price just comes down and then it looks like it's going to sink and then it suddenly wicks back up into the range. I just don't really trust it at the moment. When the volume is there, and, you know, I'm sure you have all seen when Bitcoin rips, the volume is really obvious. It's like slap in the face, kind of clear what you should be doing. But at the moment, it's not. And I think that's a really key thing with trading, is that waiting for the right opportunities. If you fuck up like 5 trades in a row and then you get that 6th trade and it's like, oh, this is really clean and this is what I should have waited for, and you look back and you see like this type of environment, you will kind of build in your brain an idea that you have to be a bit more patient than than you think. And particularly with Bitcoin these days, I think, if we look back 5 years ago, you may have had to have added, you may have had to kind of sided with more of a gamble than a calculated risk, just because the volume simply wasn't there. You used to get those Bart Simpsons. You just used to get like massive moves completely out of the blue. Whereas Bitcoin now trades a little bit more like the legacy markets, and I think it's a little bit clearer. And based on all of this, I do think it probably wants to come down. I may be wrong, but that's fine, because if I am, the plan for me, if I'm looking long, is another higher high here to break this resistance. Then we come back down into the range, make a higher low, or just have a signal from the market that it absolutely definitely doesn't want to come back down below this range low. And then on another high, another break of this range high, look to go long. But I've always found when you're range trading, if you're watching it, let's just add that. If you're watching it, you're like, at this point, holy shit, the market's going to go up, so I need to make sure I jump in to get that move. What I've found, particularly in choppy environments like this, you're like, okay, here, okay, that's now it wants to move up, but it always kind of pays to wait for all this shit, and then you'll get a really clean and obvious breakout that you need to hit. But we're not at that point yet, and I just think it needs a little bit more waiting. So I'm sorry if it is boring, but that's kind of what my what profitable trading looks like. It is really boring. You have to wait for your plan. So yeah, either that or comes down here and reverses. But that's kind of what I'm thinking about Bitcoin at the moment. Like I said, it is the end of the month. It's the 1st of July tomorrow. We get 30 days in June, don't we? So tomorrow's the 1st of July. We'll put a monthly high or low in or something, maybe early doors, but we might just get a range again all month. We are peak summer as well, so it kind of pays to wait for deep levels, in my opinion. Right, okay, so Ethereum, and let's see what's happening here. Let's jump on the daily time frame. So again, this is what I marked up earlier. I'm going to get rid of some of this. And then just in a similar way, this looks like that H1 range on Bitcoin. So again, if you're familiar with what I said about Ethereum, sorry, because I'm going to just quickly run through it again. But push up, double top at the highs, big drop down, and now a retrace into resistance at this point here, okay? So that's the story of price. This looks like a retrace, but it is a bullish move. Then if we just zoom into this range a little bit, we can see, and this has been going on for like 6 weeks. So it puts in the range, can't drop, can't push up, can't drop, can't push up, can't drop, can't drop, pushes up, but then it pushes up into this resistance here, similar to Bitcoin. Then it drops down, and it kind of gives a signal that it wants to push lower, but it doesn't. It then rejects the selling back into the range. So if we jump to H4 and we get a bit more local price action, we can see the exact same thing. So here, sitting on this low, we have a little cluster, and it should be a continuation cluster. And if Ethereum is bearish, I'll just mark it like that so you can see what I'm talking about. If Ethereum is bearish, then it should be rejecting from this level. It should then continue south. If the price action here, this is a big trend, or it could go a little bit deeper, but my next deep level is there. So what we can see, again, very similar to the price action on Bitcoin. Where's my, there it is. and indeed very similar to the daily time frame on here. You see prices fractals, whatever patterns you're going to see on it, like one time frame, you're going to find on another as well. So pushes up, can't break down, but then this starts to give a signal that it wants to go up. This is how I'm reading that. This high says the market wants to go up, comes down, puts in a double bottom, look there, and then you've got the local resistance that price then pushes up and creates a higher high. So we have here is a higher low, and here is a higher high. Based on that, you would now expect Ethereum to push up to the upside, like so. Like this, if we have a strong candle push up above this range high, technically I would enter that, but again, based on like the small candles and everything, and the way this, it just kind of looks a little bit odd. It doesn't look that fanciful. This is a really clean cluster, in my opinion. Let me just, like this one here, you've got medium-sized candles, you've got clearly defined high lows and lower highs, and then you've got a big momentum candle to the downside. Whereas here, you haven't really got small wicks, and it's like, what's going on here? Not really sure, and a lot more sideways. So I think it would also pay to wait a little bit longer. But the other thing is it could come up here and then just completely shit its pants and then put a momentum candle into the downside and take out all of this range, in which case I'd probably look for a short on a retest. So it could come down, come back up, put in a lower high, and then drop like this. But, you know, it also has ample time to have dropped by now, and it's had so many rejections to the downside that it kind of makes you think, now that we've technically got a bit of a higher high, even if it's by a few points, that price wants to continue. But then it's only got resistance up here. And I think, again, based on just the fact that it's going sideways, it may just chop a little bit more over the next few days. Not really sure, but it's quite boring really to talk about. I'm sorry, because I mean, well, like I said, this is what it's doing, right? It's not exactly ripping like that again. So you see on this time frame, it looks a little bit cleaner. If I was trading this on H1, I probably would have entered on this candle here, expecting a fast continuation. That candle there suggests to me that it should rip to the upside from that point, but it doesn't. It comes back down, and then it just, instead of like coming back down and then moving quickly, it then spends 4 days going sideways. So I'm not sure. Like, I wouldn't, if you've got the balls and the patience to sit through all of this chop, then great, because it's actually respected the range pretty nicely. But these kind of low volume, big candles just have me kind of thinking I'm not too confident of a major move up. You know, it could well happen. It does look quite nice on H4, but what I would personally be looking for, again, because it's the end of the month as well, is a push up and then a retrace and then a reversal pattern and then look to continue the move. But this first move, I'm not too confident on, just because I think the market is so indecisive, basically. So yeah, it is, again, like all just sideways. It is leaning more towards taking a gamble than an educated risk. But I think one of the big worries, certainly for me when I've been trading, like forever, basically, one of the big worries for me is when you can kind of read the price action and think, okay, it wants to go up, and you want to jump in and make sure you get in part of the move. I think when it goes sideways like this, if it does indeed burst out, it tends to kind of fall back and spend a little bit more time gathering before pushing up. So it's not necessarily shouting for an immediate entry, but I would just hesitate a little bit on that one. So I hope that makes sense. Now I'm going to look at Solana. So this is the one that's actually moved. Let's jump on the daily. So what I'd said this morning was that it needs to get above this 158k level. 158k, 158 level. God, if it was 158k, I'd love that. With my one Solana. But this level here is now a key level, this 158k, 158 level. Let me just get rid of this shit, and then we'll do it all again. So again, reading the story of price, we have a big uptrend, and then it meets this resistance over here, can't get above it, wicks it, and then comes down all the way to the lowest level of this support, and then it's starting to push up. So this level is where it wicks up, and then the selling kicks in to drive us down to this support level at 126. And now we're made a higher high in the context of the local price action. So if we just zoom down to H4, we can see it. So price pushes up, and it looks like kind of Ethereum at the moment is like at this point, doesn't it? It looks really similar. So we have the range here. And you can see it's going, it can't go down, can't go up, can't go down, can't go up, can't go down, can't go up, comes down, but then finds a load of buying to take us above this and make a new high. Then we have this resistance. So we have a big drop, retrace, and then this sell-off is what kick-started this whole chain of selling. So this is the last key level that has now been flipped, and now we're testing this level, but we haven't got a close above it on this time frame on H4. This, I think, is an SFP if it closes below this big candle, but I don't know how likely that is. I don't really trade SFPs, but that's kind of what it looks like at present. And the thing is with this was a very much a news-driven candle, because it came out that there's going to be Solana ETFs, right? So I think given that the nature of the move, you then got to ask yourself, is it sustainable? Is it going to keep pushing up? So if we just drop to the hourly, and we can see a bit more of a cleaner picture. Did it come out of nowhere? I don't know if anyone like stays on top of Solana news. I just saw it this evening. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. But if we just, again, mark this range here, sitting just below, pushes up, retrace low, pushes up back to the high to define the range. I'm just going to make that bigger. So push up, can't go lower, pushes up to the high of the range, comes down, puts a higher low in, pushes up into that resistance, and maybe gives a signal to us that it wants to go higher, drops back down to the low of the range, and then it kind of teases to go lower, but it can't. And then at this point, had this candle not been here, and then you've got all this price action saying we're not going lower, if it kind of chopped up, we chopped this in half, and then it closed above this high, that would have been my entry signal, but it's moved way too much now. What it can do next is, I imagine I would like to see it build a range, or just come back into the one we've just built, but we have no definition of a range just yet. We have the high, and then we have a potential retrace low, but that retrace low won't be confirmed until this high gets put in. So if it gets put in there, then we have our range, and then we have a place to look for support area. Basically, you can jump down to like the lower time frames at this point, and then potentially look for reversals at these range lows, and then take them to the range high. But at the moment, if you've missed a move, you've nothing you can do really except for wait, in my opinion. But it looks pretty nice in the terms of what the market is telling us. I'm just not sure how sustainable it is at this point, given where we are in the like overall crypto bull market. But also, like, I just don't see a huge amount of people interested in it at the moment. I think it's quite likely to come back down into this range. So I'll just make this bigger and get rid of this one just to clean it up. But the next target for it really is then going to be this high up here at about 167, 168. So if it comes down, I would be looking for some sort of reversal. So it could be a low, a higher low, and then a higher high, and then take that up to 168. But the nature of this news candle makes me wary, like the low volume. Again, it kind of goes back to my point earlier, which was I was saying about Bitcoin. When you get all this huge announcements and stuff of major institutions, major companies being able to offer these products to their clients, would you be looking at Solana at 157 and being like, okay, I want to get involved in this? Or, you know, if you jump to the higher time frames and see kind of where we are. I mean, actually, it's not too bad down here. Maybe it will come low, but overall, actually, it's probably not too bad a place. If it was to kick off again, it could probably potentially go up to that all-time high at 257. It would take a lot, but maybe these bigger institutions want it lower. I personally would, but yeah, I think it looks quite nice, but it needs a little bit more price action again before having a calculated move, because it could just completely reverse this. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think. I hope that's made some sense. If you've got any questions on anything, or you want me to look at any other charts, let's do that now. Did any of you get into that move? And I don't mean holding spot. I mean, had you been in a trade that caught that move? Yes, let's do crypto. So I have to jump onto a different charting software, and I haven't got that. I'll set something up for my next stream to make sure I can look at legacy markets and equities. That's all right, bro. No worries. I'm just trying to showcase what that you guys should all sign up for. They've got a huge airdrop beginning in 2026 in the style of hyperliquid. So if you're interested in bringing a trading account over, there's a referral link in the description, and you can farm points just by trading and get a huge airdrop early next year. So if you missed the hyperliquid one, or if you've got the hyperliquid one and you want another one, I'd focus on jumping onto Watt and doing some trading here. And it's really easy. Just connect to your wallet and you're trading within like 5 minutes. And it would help me out as well, and it would help them out. Welsh Martin, I'm on the Sol trade, but playing it longer to 187, all being well. What was your entry price? 187. Yeah, that kind of lines up with that. Yeah, that high there. I wonder if it went back up there, you know, I think it would probably continue higher. I'd look at trailing my stop rather than putting a TP personally, because if it breaks that high, I think your next key level is there at about 222. I'm not saying it's definitely going up there, so don't like change your don't change your plan based on what I'm saying. But from a supply and demand perspective, if this now retraces this entire drop, I would say like a third high is probably going to break, because you know the resistance level is this one here, which has been tested 1, 2, 3 times. So actually this would be the 4th test if it comes up there, and I would imagine it would break up probably to 208. But yeah, entry is 139. Yes, probably look at trading stop at the FGs around. Yeah, okay, cool, nice plan. Smart dude. Flux54, hello bro, how are you? Seems like ages ago when we were talking about GU every morning, and then life got in the way. But yeah, Solana looks nice. Like out of the 3 that I've covered, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, I think Solana looks the nicest. and kind of similar to Ethereum as well. Like it could be what Ethereum's going to do. Good, mate. Been a while. I'm okay, thank you. I'm okay. I had a very busy 4 or 5 weeks with family, and I just decided not to trade, like it was all getting in the way. So I've been looking to get back onto the wagon this morning, but as I was saying at the beginning of the stream, like the Monday morning video that I want to put out, I forgot to put the screen recording on, and I spent 25 minutes filming, and there was nothing to showcase, so I had to refilm it, and it just completely put my morning out of whack. So yeah, I wanted to get back into trading today, but it's probably going to be tomorrow, maybe Wednesday, because it's the first of the month tomorrow. There's always something to like get in the way. Pretty impressed by Hype performance as well as every other alt shitcoin that exists. Who was it? I don't know if the person's around. Who was it that was asking me about useless last week, by the way? Because that is ripped. We were talking about that. Look at it in a second. But I was saying it would look like it was going to push up, but I wasn't sure because I don't trade meme coins and I don't trust the volume and everything, but it's absolutely broken out. This is Hype on the daily. This is quite a nice looking chart, actually. So we have this big high, and then we have the support level there. Pushes up, can't break down below it. Pushes up and creates a higher high. And then look, it wicks that support, and it's now finding strength. So if we look down at H4, really clean reversal pattern. So it drops down to the support, and then what it does is put in, like, that's so nice. That is the reversal pattern of dreams. So it drops down, retrace, puts in a lower low, and then puts in it puts in a high, and then a higher low, and then a higher high. Really clean reversal pattern here. Oops, I want to delete this one. So this was where the daily support level was, right? And then you've got this entire channel. This is the extreme of it. So even though you have a resistance level here at this point, it is all like a reaction to that, which is a reaction to that. So that's why on a push up, instead of dropping down, prices kind of come to the end of the chain now. So it's at a really interesting spot. If it breaks this and then flips it and continues, you'd say that's pretty bullish. But equally, this is the last level, like the deepest level. So it could just fuck around here and then on a couple of lower lows, send it back down to the bottom at support. But on H1, let's have a look. Okay, and then we have the last support there, and then a little bit of resistance there, which is kind of flipped. But again, it's doing this kind of like small candles within a tight range, type price action. So it pays the weight if you think, if you're looking to get on board. But on this time frame, if I'm looking at an entry, I would say like this little zone down here. If it can retrace, like maybe it'll take it out and retrace, but if it can retrace down to like this 37 to 38 level, maybe like a little bit higher. But this, you can clearly see price pushes up, puts this little cluster in, pushes up, and then bounces off that cluster before pushing up again. So again, looking at the chain, this is just a reaction to this. So if, in my mind, I favor coming to the deep level and then looking for a reversal. Otherwise, you know, it could, the continuation pattern, put in something like that. But yeah, that hype looks quite nice. Do you think Link is ready to get moving? It feels like it still has some sideways action to go, but has tagged a support zone a few times since Q4 24. Weekly FFG at 9.7 may get a revisit. Link. Have we got this on the side here? No, okay, I'll just search it. I think I've hidden that thing. Okay, let's look on the daily. Oops. On the weekly. Okay. So, based on this information, we have the high here. I don't know if there was a previous high there or whatever. But we have a high here that's been taken out. Price drops down, takes out that support, retraces and puts in a high. So that is like the retracement. This is the origin of all of this move down. So then it does indeed come down and puts in this resistance level here. Look at this. This is really, like, when I talk about origins and decision points, this is what I mean. So price puts in this high, retraces all the way down, puts in a base, breaks out, retraces a little bit. That's what that red candle is. And then all this buying takes place over the next 3 to 4 weeks that takes price above this high. This level is the origin level of this entire move. And then it comes back down. Okay, it's broken it down here, but this is kind of in a liquid market compared to like what I'd normally trade. Hence, this is where those principles came from. But this is also like a bottom range here, which has been respected. So if I got rid of that, you can see it's come down into this bottom range, and it's now kind of finding some support. It's got a higher low here in the context of this. So it's quite nice. Again, like that is an SR flip here. So this was a really clean breakout, and it's revisiting those lows. H4, let's do that. I'm not going to jump on every time frame. So I'll keep this yellow line because that's our map, that's our marker. But it's come here. This is the sell-off. This is the cluster that broke down below the support level. And you can see it's come down and it flips it really, really cleanly. This is why I love price action trading. Really cleanly bounces off the low. And what you would expect is a retest of this low and then price continued down. But it doesn't. It is going sideways. But it looks more bullish than bearish. So we have the high, the retrace, and now we have a higher high and potentially a higher low. So if we just jump down to the hourly, get some more candles. The deepest level of support is this one here. You can see this big move up, retrace, but then continue. So there's a lot of buying pressure here, which is also kind of evidenced by the fact that we have a double bottom there. And then after that second low is formed, we have new highs. So the way I get that is you have the push up, retrace, tries to push up again. You have this wick and it drops down to this and it creates this support, pushes back up and then breaks that support. And I could do it like that. And then flips the underside of it and drops down. So that for me is the key selling area, the key supply zone, key resistance, whatever you want to call it. And then as you can see, it respects it a few times, and then it finally pushes up above it. In terms of like origin levels, with the same concept, then we have this level here is where the buying took place to come and push us above that resistance level. And then you can see here along this line, if I just delete that, along this line, price breaks out above it, and then again flips the top side of it, bounces off it, basically once, twice, 3, 4 times, and then I don't know what this move was. It looks quite a liquid, low volume, and then pushes down, bounces again, and it's finding support around this SR flip. So now what it needs to do, in my opinion, is break this level, but it's kind of several wicks to the upside and now looking like dropping down. But if it flips this level, I would be looking for a range, and then higher highs, higher lows, same type of thing, to look for a continuation. But my style and my preference would be that it would come down to this level, and then we get the reversal down there. Otherwise, maybe a little bit lower. And this is all just based on the candles. This looks typically like a bottom of a move of a trend. If this was FX, if this was GBP USD, I'd be saying that this is most likely going to continue to the upside. But we're late stages of a bull market in crypto. I don't know if it's going to have the volume and the required buyers to push it up, essentially. So based on the price action alone, it looks bullish, though. FFG at 9.7. I don't really trade FFGs. The daily 9.7. So yeah, I'm not really sure what you're talking about, to be honest. Unless, is that it here? I'm not really sure how they go. I'm not sure. But based locally, yeah, the line in the sand, I would look at that level at like 12.7. If it drops below there, it could sink. Can we look at Bonk? Yeah, why not? I don't think I've ever opened that chart before. Let's go weekly. New exchange problems. So yeah, not a huge amount of price action available on here. But we're at lows. We're like at pretty low lows. This is kind of like one of those charts where it's worth just like, I'm not saying do it, so I don't do it based on what I'm saying, because this is not financial advice, but it looks like one of those charts where you might as well like take a punt and then hope the next bull market lifts it back up. But personally, I think this is kind of what I was saying earlier, like it looks like it could just now dribble like that for ages. Where I would tend to be more interested is we have this support area here. We have this resistance area here. So we have downtrend, and then it retraces. I should mark that. I've just done a lot by eyeball. Sorry, it's a bad habit when I'm streaming. We have this support level here. This is where all the buying took place to make this huge rally. Price comes down, takes out the level, retraces, and then sells off from this point to create all of this. Price moves back up to retest this area, and look, it drops back down into support, into the decision point. At this point, the decision was made from the buying to take out this high, retests it, makes a higher high, and then drops back down to the extreme of the support level, like that. but then absolutely fails at this point here. So you would expect if price was bullish at this point to continue like so, but it doesn't. It then makes a lower low, and then you have also this level here. So price comes down, tests the support, retraces, puts in this wick high, and this is the sell off that then makes the lower low, bounces off of this support area, and now the picture's looking a little bit cleaner. If I am looking to get involved in this personally, I would wait for it to kind of come up. You know, it might come up and put a couple of levels in. I'd wait for it to come up and take out these highs, retrace, and then show a little bit of signs of life personally. And this is the daily time frame as well, so that could be a while from now. But yeah, I think when it comes to altcoins or meme coins, a large part of it is when they're at lows like this, it looks more like a punt for the long term. Just kind of hold it and hope for the best. But if I'm trading it, I'd be waiting for that level, because that would be a change in market structure then. Like this is all a big sell-off, retest, double top, and then you've got this high here that could potentially hold us down. So that's what I'd be looking at for Bonk. That's how I'm looking at it now. Does that make sense? That level you suggested for the link pullback coincides with a daily FFG and also the 0.75 fib, so would make good sense. Thanks for your thoughts. Yeah, it's interesting when you trade price action purely, that it kind of coincides with those types of things. Yeah, I'm never going to find that again. Circle stock price action from today is also an interesting one, especially after Trump pushing for lower interest rates. Don't think there are stocks on here. This is just crypto. Yeah. So next stream I'll get TradingView as well, just so we can maybe look at some stocks and equities if you guys are interested in that. But yeah, I just wanted to keep this kind of crypto, and again just show off Watt and their exchange, and hopefully get some of you guys trading on there. But yeah, if there are any other crypto coins, meme coins, altcoins, any other thoughts, any questions on trading psychology, process, or anything you're struggling with? Cool. Cheers, Visions. Thanks for coming. Any questions or anything? Otherwise, we'll call it. It's been an hour, and we do this again next Monday. Cheers, Martin. Welsh Martin. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you found this valuable. I hope that the questions you've asked have been answered satisfactorily. And I will see you guys again next week. Don't forget to sign up to Watt. There is a link in the description. And I'll see you guys probably on social media, on Twitter. Otherwise, next week for the next stream. All right, take care. Have a good trading week. Bye-bye.